Why do movies based on video games sucks? Like, why? Why the based game titles are always getting the worst response when turned into movies? Well, there are exceptions like Mortal Kombat, but Annihilation was a bad one. And movies like Tomb Raider and Prince of Persia failed so badly, while their games gives a new height to the company that owns them. Welcome to Nivin's Writer. This time we are poking our nose into movies that are based on games. And why do those movies suck? Like, I know the directors, actors, characters, story, budget, plot, and a lot of things are responsible for this, but why do video game movies sucks? We will dive into this. So in movies, action is just a small part that gives oh yeah moment into the brain and dopamine to make a viewer excited, and cutscene is a big part of the story that represents where the story is going. But in video games, this is different. The action is a big part and the cutscene is not that big, and neither it is this much longer that the player has to get bored. Some cutscenes even runs in the game as well, like interactions while chasing someone or fighting someone. So action is a big part, and meanwhile cutscenes are annoying to players. They mostly skip them. So the unbalanced situation of two elements is important. By the way, I mentioned Mortal Kombat movie, so why did it work? Because the first game had very good graphics, comfortable gameplay mechanics, and the story is not clear. So people who wants to know what is the actual story of Mortal Kombat, this movie serves well. And the same reason why Mortal Kombat Annihilation didn't work, because the movie failed to show the missing element from events of Mortal Kombat 2 and invasion of Earth by Shao Kahn. The movie adaptation is different from the game. Like you see in manga, anime, Netflix adaptation jokes, this is also applied here. For example, movie Hitman Agent 47. The looks and the approach in the movie for assassinations are different from the game. We know it is not the story of a game that turns into a movie, but this is a different movie that is using the same character from the game and creates a new story with them, which indeed disappoints the fans a lot. The same goes with Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. The story is split into 3 games, and Vizier is from the side of Indian Maharaja, and Prince's name was not mentioned. He just called himself Prince, but in movie he got a name. Vizier was Persian, Farah was different, and Sands of Time didn't go into any apocalypse like in the first game. And to give the Dark Prince reference, they just showed it, instead add him to the movie, but no. And the great thing was the movie was only one part, straight about Indian Sands of Time, and there is no mention of Dahaka, and there is no mention of other characters that help the prince to get the goal to save himself. And taking from the game and making something totally different is something that makes fans hate the movie a lot, and even casual viewers too. Where the hell is the movie going? And they forcefully fitting the characters into the movie like puzzle pieces that ain't come together. Okay, before I explain what is missing, let me explain exactly what we are talking about, which is missing. I know I sound weird, but what I try to explain here is the feeling we get from the games and movies and how we are getting this. And yeah, there are shows and games based on one series that indeed gives a similar feeling. If you watch the Castlevania series, I guess you're getting to the point I want to explain. That series shows the part of Alucard, Trevor, and Sypha which we didn't explore before, and it didn't interfere with the story's event. It shows how they fight against Dracula, Death, and other monsters, and how their trio is good. We can call them triple threat. So the story shows how Alucard became a very cold-blooded person after his mother's death, and how he feels guilty too after killing his father Dracula. The chemistry between those 3 characters defines the story here as an extension of game lore, not another version of the story. And this is what other movies lack. They miss the feeling of knowing more from the lore, not from the game, but from other sources. So in a movie, characters cannot be added if the actors are playing them. And while a game has nearly hours of long cutscenes, so fitting all the characters into the movie is not possible. But in series is possible, because you can stretch it as long as you want. You can fill up the gap with characters as much as you can. But in movies, you can't. This is why TV series like Castlevania is able to fit characters into the story, while movies like Prince of Persia are unable to serve the purpose because there are already enough characters and no space left. So if a game has a TV series or Netflix series, it has more chances to amuse the audience than a movie. I have another example, Sonic the Hedgehog. It doesn't have many characters except Sonic and Dr. Robotnik, but the way both movies represented other characters, their behaviors, and the good part is the sequel where we saw Knuckles and Tails, it indeed gives proper screen time to all the characters as much they need and explain the story more than the screen time. That's why it works. But at the same time, movies like Tomb Raider, which didn't have many characters, and Max Payne, which didn't show the characters as they should, fail just because of the same element. Well, there are tons of factors I didn't look at like MathPad did. I prefer mentioning those who are indeed very important. Otherwise, why would you watch a very long video? But whatever it is, movies based on video games indeed suck, and I hope they won't in the future. But for that, we need a game that indeed requires a good story. And if you're looking for a good story, you can go and read our webtoon Nivin by Harrier Studio. I will see you in the next video. Till then, have a great day.